Welcome to the world's most finicky foundation. This is not a first impressions. Actually, today was my 6th wear test for Instagram and YouTube, so I'm intimately familiar with this foundation at this point. And it has taken me 6 different application methods to figure out how to make this foundation work. But if you don't know me, I'm Kate, I'm 33. I have very sensitive acne-prone combination skin. I get very oily in my T-zone, but I'm pretty dehydrated on the rest of my face. And I have a corporate job. I'm on Zoom meetings all the time. I need makeup that practically does the work for me, that I can like slap on in the dark. So my channel features a lot of like very easy, minimal, natural makeup looks. And I'm very picky. I like to have a smaller makeup collection for a YouTuber. So a product has to be a 10 out of 10 win in order to make it into my makeup collection. So if you like very detailed, critical reviews, I hope you'll subscribe. And now let's get into the video. First, let's talk about the claims of this foundation. Saie says that this is 85% skincare serum, 15% weightless pigment, 100% your best skin ever. Our lightweight and luminous serum foundation provides true-to-skin, medium buildable coverage and is packed with clinically tested skincare ingredients for visibly hydrated, plump, and brighter skin. They talk a little bit about the formula and then they say the result is hydrated, weightless coverage that will make you forget you're wearing foundation at all. They said it has an active skincare complex called Hydra Bounce. It's lightweight and absorbs quickly from sugar-derived squalane, and it's rich in antioxidants from Indian gooseberry extract. This foundation is $40 and it comes in 36 shades. Looking at the website, it looks like the shades are very evenly distributed. It looks like there's also a great range of undertones, and I'm really excited to see Saie step in this direction. You know, previously when they launched their bronzers and a few other products, they started with just 4 shades. I believe they launched their concealers with 12 shades and then did an expansion, so they tend to err on a smaller shade range, and I think it's okay because they generally tend to evenly distribute the shades, which at least makes it a little bit more inclusive. It doesn't tend to skew super white, which I do appreciate, but I'm just very happy to see that they're now launching a foundation with 36 shades, and they seem to be making a statement that inclusivity is going to be something that they care about and that they prioritize, and I'm all here for that. The brand sent me shades 1 and 4, and 1 was like pale white, so I didn't have to use that, but I'm going to show you shade 4 in this video, as well as the brush that came with this, and I have a DM from them. They gave specific instructions for this formula. So here are some tips and tricks from Saie. They said the Glowy Super Skin is for all skin types, but skin prep will vary. Since this foundation is 85% serum, we suggest keeping skin prep quite light or even applying to bare skin. 2, since this foundation has a serum-like texture, it loves to be pressed onto the skin like a serum versus rubbed. 3, a little goes a long way. Start with half a pump on the base brush, or feel free to use your fingers to gently press the product into the skin. 4, if you use Glowy Super Gel as a primer, let it dry down for a minute before applying Glowy Super Skin. You can also apply Glowy Super Gel to the high points of your face on top of foundation. Ooh, where do I begin? This is the trickiest foundation that I have ever tried, and it only works with a very specific skincare prep. So first, I'm going to show you the foundation clip where I just did my normal skincare routine, which was like my CosRx, ceramide mist, my Saie Pro Resilience serum, the Ordinary Buffet with copper peptides, and my Pharmacy Honey Halo moisturizer. On top of that, I use the Paula's Choice Super Light Daily Wrinkle Defense, which is the sunscreen I always use under makeup because it's just so smooth, makes everything look like a really beautiful soft satin finish. And then because I knew this foundation was very glowy, I also used my matte primer, which is the Excess Splash Zone. So every time I made sure to really shake the bottle up because they told me to do that, and I applied about a half a pump on the base brush. And as you can see, a little really does go a long way, so I understand why they say to use half a pump. If you went in and used 2 pumps of this, you would be like, holy shit, that was way too much. That would cover like your face, neck, and chest. It's a very stretchable foundation, so definitely use a lot less than you think you need. Also, you'll notice as I blend it that the shade as you blend looks lighter than the way it is before you blend. You can see the shade difference on my face. It does kind of settle into the correct shade after a bit, so don't be alarmed if you're blending it and you notice that it looks a lot lighter than it did originally when you like pumped it out on the back of your hand. And I tried to follow their instructions, and I was using mostly a patting or a dabbing motion instead of rubbing because I really wanted to make sure that I was giving this foundation its best shot. I had had heard that it was really tricky and people said you really need to follow the instructions. So I was doing everything I could, but I noticed that it seemed to be just sitting on top of my face. As you can see in the clip, I was getting frustrated. It just doesn't look like skin. And with this close-up, you can see that my skin just looks crusty. It looks textured. It's sitting on top of my skin, and although it does look like a good shade match, it just doesn't look good. It doesn't look like beautiful skin. It doesn't look as seamless and as great as like my L'Oreal True Match foundation, the Armani Luminous Silk, my ColourPop Pretty Fresh concealer. You know, those all are products that I can just slap on. Doesn't matter what skincare I'm wearing underneath. I can just apply it in any way. I can just practically apply it in the dark, and that's the kind of product I like. So I just really don't appreciate that this requires such coddling to make it work. And then I was super frustrated. So then I decided to try it with powder because it was just so dewy. And I'm using my Makeup Forever Ultra HD matte powder in vanilla with a big Jones Road bronzer brush. And I powdered my entire face. I powdered the shit out of my face because I wanted to see if there's a chance that I could make it work. And as you can see, it just looks cakey. It looks heavy. It doesn't look like skin. And it didn't feel like skin either. It really just felt heavy and greasy and like tacky on my skin. And that's how I feel right now. I'm looking in the viewfinder, I'm looking in the mirror. It's so shiny and I'm just itching to wash my face. So using the foundation on top of matte sunscreens, matte primers, and with a powder absolutely does not work. Then I tried the foundation on a bare ass face. I was like, all right, they said to try this foundation on dry skin. That's what we're gonna do. Let's give it a shot. Even though I would literally never do that. I need my skincare prep in my life. I would rather do my skincare than my makeup any day. But for the sake of the review, I figured I would give it a shot. Okay, so now I'm gonna show you the foundation on dry skin, and I did this for Instagram, so I'll just pop it in right here. It does seem to spread pretty well. It's super thin and runny. Is this pressing? I wanna give it my best shot. This is going on significantly better on a bare face, no skincare, no sunscreen, nothing, than it went on yesterday when I had just a moisturizer and a sunscreen. I have these breakouts here and I really don't like the way that it's settling around that. My Holy Grail foundations never do that. It's definitely clinging to the dry patches that usually don't get accentuated for me, and it looks even worse on acne. So as you can see, it also did not look very good on a bare face, even though that's what the brand suggested. It really clung to my little dry patches around my nose. I didn't even know that I had dry patches around my nose. I honestly think that that just happened because I didn't have any skincare on, but it also looked very dry and sort of textured all along the areas where I had some breakouts. So even though this may be a very hydrating formula, it just didn't seem to like sink into the skin and really prep my skin in any way. So now let's get to today's demo, and this is by far the best way to wear this foundation. Okay, so today I am wearing just the Saie Pro Resilient Serum, just one pump, with one pump of the Make Hydrascape moisturizer and then a little bit of my Live Tinted sunscreen. So the skincare prep for today really focused on hydrating products that have a very thin texture that almost match the texture of this foundation. So I'm gonna shake this up really well and I'm gonna apply it based on the instructions that Saie sent me. They said half a pump directly on the brush, and this foundation is very stretchable. So you might think like, oh, I'll do 2 pumps like my normal foundation. It'll be a total disaster. It really is stretchable, and half a pump covers the entire face. You'll see. So that's what I get from half a pump for shade 4. And I think you'll see that it really does go a long way. Saie also says that this works best if you blend it with your fingers, but I really hate the feeling of foundation on my hands. And so I'm using their brush that comes with this. Doesn't say a name, but I just assume it's their foundation brush. I really do love Saie's brushes. Their bronzer brush and their powder brush are some of my favorites that I've ever tried. Right off the bat, I'm noticing that this foundation looks the best it's ever looked because I matched the skincare texture to the foundation texture. Really interesting. I still don't think I'm gonna like it because it's far too greasy for me, and it just, I don't wanna have to change my skincare routine to make a foundation work. I don't think that we should have to do that. So I think that maybe there's just a specific type of consumer for this foundation, and I'm not one of them, but I'm really pleased to see that this is going on a lot better than it has in my previous wear tests. And what this experience is indicating to me is that the Saie foundation works best with hydrating products underneath. When I applied the foundation on a bare, dry face, my skin was just so crusty looking. When I applied it on top of a matte sunscreen and a matte powder, it looked really weird. It looked heavy, like it was just sitting on top of my skin. So clearly this is the best way to go. Minimal skincare steps, thin textures, hydrating products. And now I'm gonna add just a little bit on my neck so that everything looks a bit cohesive. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but to me, as I look in the mirror and as I look especially in the viewfinder, it just still looks like it's sitting on top of my skin. And also the level of shine that you get from this is just way too much for my combination skin. I think this is really a dry skin only kind of foundation, unless you are the kind of person who loves a glossy, wet looking skin. So this is the best I've ever gotten this foundation to look, and this is my 5th or 6th wear test. Now I'm going to show you what it looks like when you powder it. In my experience, it really does not work with powder. Like, this wants to be glowy. Let it be its glowy self. Don't try to change it. I'm just taking a little bit of the Makeup Forever Ultra Matte Powder in the shade Vanilla with the Saie brush. Their fluffy powder brush. And hopefully this time it'll look better with powder than it has in the past. I don't know why I just decided to powder my face even though I haven't done concealer yet, but we'll see how that goes. Okay, I did my concealer off camera, and now I'm just gonna finish powdering in the areas that I think are just a little too shiny. And by a little, I mean a lot. Way too shiny. Horrifyingly shiny for me, which is the entire face. Man, the feeling of this on the skin, it feels like an oil. And for someone who has combination skin, it's not a feeling that you want. But the good news is, that's the best that this has ever looked with powder. I'm not getting the crusties, not getting all the texture, but I think you can tell that even the ultra matte powder from Makeup Forever is not stopping the shine on this. And you'll see in like 5 minutes, I'm gonna look right like I did at the beginning, just super, super glowy. No amount of powder keeps this under control. I did the rest of my makeup and I think you can see the shine is just unstoppable. That is a fully powdered face and that grease just comes right through. So while today I finally got it to look good and not like crusty and super textured, it's just ultimately is too finicky and too greasy for me. And something that confuses me about Saie's formulation, not just of the foundation, but of their products in general, is everything that Saie launches is like glowy, ultra dewy, glossy, like liquid gel-like kind of gloss finishes. And to me, if you were to wear all of those at once, you would be left with just a face that would like melt right off for me personally. You know, if you wore the glowy super gel and then you wore this on top of it, I can't even imagine, because the glowy super gel is super hydrating, super dewy. It has light reflecting particles, and this has mica in it. And what I've come to understand about myself is that I really don't like anything that has mica in it, at least in foundation or any kind of base product, because that just inevitably accentuates texture. It doesn't seem to bother me on fine lines. Like, I actually like the way that this looks on my forehead where I do have more fine lines. I've never noticed a problem there, and I'm kind of okay with it being a little bit glossy on my forehead, but it's this area that I really don't like. So if you were to wear this with the glowy super gel and their dew blushes and their liquid highlighter, I mean, you would just be left with an absolutely wet face. And I don't see that being something that's very cohesive. And so it very much confuses me, because I see that maybe these products could be great for people for individual use, but together I feel like it's just way, 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 way too much dew. And I've talked to a bunch of other influencers who've said the same thing, and they're all influencers who love dewy skin. And so if they're saying that everything's too dewy, then I know I'm not too far off base. The second observation I have that just confuses me a little bit is I don't want to change my entire skincare routine just to make a foundation work. Now, to Saie's benefit, like, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they were thinking that this would be great for consumers that, you know, love a minimalist moment, that are very excited to be able to skip their skincare steps so that they can just have one product that they can reach for and then they're good and that's all they need. Now, Saie didn't mention sunscreen with this. They said just use it on bare skin, but that doesn't account for daytime use. So just make sure that if you are going to use it on a bare face, that you don't skip your skincare step if you're applying it during the daytime. But if you're a minimalist, if you just want sunscreen and this, and you have extraordinarily dry and dehydrated skin, then I can possibly see a consumer for it. I'm just not that consumer. And now I'm going to do what I've been dying to do all day. Oh, thank God. Get this off my face. Oh, that is so much better. Oh, thank God. That was bothering me all day. And that was me having powdered like 3 or 4 times. It's pretty crazy. And as always, thank you to Saie for continuing to send me PR. I know that I tend to be very, very critical of every brand and every product, not just them. Thank you to Saie if you end up watching this. And if you do watch this, I'm sorry, but it just doesn't work for me. If you like this video, I hope you'll subscribe and give it a thumbs up. It really helps my channel to grow. And wherever you are, I hope you're having an awesome day, and I'll see you in the next one.